Namaste. I'm Nancy Ruby, and today's practice I call Inner Journey. So we're going to slow things down and go deep into our body with some yin style of openings, which is also strengthening to our joints. We're going to go in gently and yet actively, and I'll explain that along the way. So you might want to have something to cushion you on the floor. It's nice to have a bolster, a couple blocks, and you might even want a second blanket. I will teach so you don't need any of those things, but they do help. So get what you can, grab some pillows and blankets from your home, and let's get started. Beginning in a seated position, you may want something under your hips. You could even consider placing something under your knees for support. And we're just going to take a moment here to focus on the breath. The third option that I like is not taking blocks, but another blanket and putting it just at my shin, so I can just really rest in this perch. Find what's comfortable for you. Drop in. Let's rock the pelvis a little bit. Just warm up the area of the lower back and along the spine. Let's breathe in as we open the front of the spine and out as we hug into the front body. And then sitting well, right in the very center of your pelvis, feel the sits bones grounded. You want the pubic bone to drop down a little bit from the navel, then the navel to draw up towards the heart, and the front ribs to drop down towards the navel. Okay? And that'll give us that sense of support and connection at our abdomen. The arm bones come fairly close to your ribs so you can lift your shoulder blades into your heart. Drop the chin slightly. We're going to close our eyes and start here today with some deep breaths to draw us inside for this inner journey. Let your breath go all the way and settle into this place and time. Full deep breath in, perhaps affirming, I am here now. And exhale. This is it. This is our life in this moment. Deep breath in. Now pause at the top, sustain the breath. And keeping that lift through your spine, exhale slowly. Deep breath in. Pause. Long breath out. Pause. Full breath in. This is called Puraka, the inhalation of the breath. And then pause, called Kumbhaka. It's a part of our breathing cycle. Exhale, releasing the breath, Rechaka. Pausing in that emptiness, Kumbhaka, that place of stillness and silence. So take a few more breaths on your own, exploring the three parts of the breath: the in-breath, the out-breath, and the pause between. As you release your next breath, let your chin draw towards your throat. Take a breath in and puff up the back body with that in-breath. Let the back ribs expand. And then release your breath. Stay in this position and really squeeze the front body. Let your eyes flutter open. And then inhale, lift your chest and roll the shoulders down. Good. Now this time we're going to lift the legs up. Let's stretch them out a little bit first, just to release the knees from that bend. And then we'll bring them back up, and you can keep the blankets available if you want. You could be on the floor or on a block or bolster, or blanket, just to lift those hips. Bring the soles of the feet together. Hold the shins outside. Roll the heart open. And then lean forward. So we're keeping that lumbar curve. We're going to lean into the pelvis. Where we feel that resistance. And it's a welcome resistance. And then we're going to start to arrange accordingly. So you could bring your hands to the inside if that feels more comfortable. You can draw the chin down, just hang the neck. In this form, we're going to relax our belly. Just let it release. So when we come into these yin type movements, yin is the feminine energy of the practice, and a lot of our hatha yoga is done in the yang style or yang style, which is very active and very strengthening, builds your stamina, and you're engaging your muscles, and it's wonderful to protect your alignment that way. Yin is the opposite. Yin is softening. Yin is opening. Yin is releasing. Letting go, nurturing your body in a very sweet, let's say, motherly way, the yin energy of the feminine. We all have these energies within us, whether we are a male or female, however we relate that way, but we all have that feminine and masculine energy. So it's a really nice idea to balance your yoga practice with both. Easing in. So leaning up against whatever you're feeling and committing to stay with those feelings, even if they're a little intense. I know for me at the end of a day, if I've been doing too much sitting, and then I go to do my evening practice in front of the fireplace, and I start to open my hips, I can start to feel very irritated because there's so much tension in there. And my initial response is to want to run away, get out of there. However, I know from practicing this that that is not the solution, because if I don't stay, that tension is simply going to remain and sometimes get worse. So we need to go in and feel where there's tension without forcing. Use your wisdom mind here. We're really tapping into that inner resource. This is why it's an inner journey. You're the only one that knows what you're truly feeling in here. So you want to play that edge wisely, be kind, be sweet, and also be very consistent, like a good mother. So we'll take one more breath here in this butterfly pose, just allowing the hips to soften, belly soft, head hanging. And when you're going to come up slowly. I want you to come up slower than you think you can. Feeling every nuance along the way. And then bringing your hands to your knees. You're going to lean back a little and help the legs together. Be stretched forward again. Shake them out a little bit. Okay, we're going to go back into the hip opening. I'm going to move my second blanket. I'm turning myself a little bit sideways so you can see the alignment. The legs are going to come out wide. On this one, I'm actually going to remove my bolster. Interestingly enough, when I go into a wide straddle, it's easier for me. So I want you to try things on and be really creative and give yourself permission to be creative. Okay? So drawing the knees out, we're going to start with knees bent, holding the legs, and then lifting from the heart, drawing forward from the pelvis, feeling what's there. Maybe if you know your hamstrings are more open, you could straighten the legs. So there's the other option here. And you don't have to go out as wide as possible. I feel like I want to go a little bit wider, but you don't go all the way to your maximum. So this is a good practice to recognize. It's a way to recognize our tendency to push if we tend to have that energy to do more all the time. This is a practice of doing less without checking out. So we're leaning into it. You might be more upright. And here's some options. If you have a bolster, you could bring it in front of you and you could actually rest your head on it. Okay. If you just have a bunch of pillows from home, you could lean forward on your pillows and hang. And if you have blocks, you could put your block out there, put your head on a block. Now at the same time, you want to make sure you go into those hips to that just right sensation. So some of you might have the knees bent. It's the same thing. So try it on, and then we're going to stay, and we're going to count our breaths. I'm going to take 10 deep cleansing breaths. And with each exhalation, notice where you can let go. Let go of any unnecessary holding. Let go of resistance. Let go of avoiding. I'm going to be right here, right now, inner journey. Let go of any unnecessary thoughts, opinions. Deep, full breath in. Long, slow breath out. Letting go. Notice if you can go in a little bit deeper, maybe rearrange your body. If at all you feel your body starting to resist, you might back out a little. So we're not holding rigidly, we're holding, listening, feeling, and responding. We'll take just a couple more breaths here. And then before you come up, you want to prepare. So you're going to very gently engage the abdomen and bring your hands into a supportive position. And then again, slowly, slowly releasing the form. Everybody reach inside the legs when you're ready. Lean back a little and help the legs in. Let's cross the legs for a moment. See what that feels like. Now we're going to do what I call the pinwheel. So you're going to bring one leg around, and it's kind of like this, but then we're going to open it up a little bit more. So I'm going to bring my top leg back and attempt to bring my knee right out from my hip and then push my heel out. So you might want to lean all the way to the side to make that happen. So you have a 90-degree angle on your knee. And if that feels vulnerable, just play with what you've got, okay? Rearrange a little bit. And then this top leg's going to come down, so it's right in front of the hip and the shin out. So we have 90 degrees at both knees. Got this open pinwheel shape, okay? And then, if you're already feeling some work in your hips, you might just stay here. If you want to go deeper, you bring the torso up. You can turn away, and as you turn away, you're going to start to feel this opening through this hip. So if you're down low, it's the same thing. So from the forearms or from your hands, let's take 5 breaths here. So again, soften the toes. I found my toes really reaching up. Relax the toes, relax the ankles. Relax into the weight of your legs. Gently turn. You can even move the weight of your torso back or forth a little. Another deep breath. And on your own, you could always stay a little bit longer if it feels like there's something that really wants to be dealt with in there, released. Please feel free. Take these as your ideas for your own practice. Stay with that if you'd prefer, if something juicy is happening. Otherwise, you can turn your torso forward and lift up into it. Okay, see what happens there. And then bring the torso over the front legs. This is another option to feel into. And the lower you go, you might feel that. Just, everyone's going to feel this differently. So just play with that option and notice what arises and then make some little adjustments. Settle in. And then today, about 5 full deep breaths, really slow breaths. When you take that final breath, and it might not be 5, that's just kind of a suggestion. You're going to first again push into the arms for support. So you're coming up very gently, right? And then turn towards the legs and bring that back leg up. So now you're sitting with your legs pretty wide and you can just windshield wiper the legs. Loosen that up. The inner journey. So all of these forms are going to be something you want to consider holding longer, maybe 5, 8, 10 minutes. But I wanted to give you this opportunity to learn a few in this shorter practice as a means to then applying them. Get on your own mat without me, just you guiding yourself. So draw the knee back in line with your hip. So this is open, 90-degree angle. Relax. Now see my ankle's digging in a little, so I'm going to rearrange. Always be particular. And then this top knee comes down right off the hip joint, 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee. And then we'll turn away from that action, belly, ribs, and chest. So notice what that feels like to be up high. And then you can decide if you want to come down lower and keep playing with the positioning of the torso until you feel. Now I'm way more open on this hip, so I have to go a little deeper. I have to dive deeper into that area to find a comfortable resistance. So we are looking for that edge of resistance, and it's actually going into the joints. So we're working more the fascia now, not so much the muscles. We're letting the muscles relax so we can move into the deeper connective tissue. And by putting that just right stress, this is good stress, in your joints, it's actually awakening the tendon and the ligament. So tendon is the end of your muscle attaching to the joint. And your ligaments are attaching bone to bone. They're very strong connectors. We don't want to stretch them, but we do want to stress them slightly. And that's going to encourage them to stay strong and even become stronger. So while the joint opens, we're also building an awakening. So again, you might stay with this. Find all kinds of interesting sensations in our bodies. They really are a wonderful place to explore. And when you're ready to come on to the next movement, take your time, slowly, slowly unwinding. I'm going to move back a bit so my foot's on the blanket. And then turning towards the straight leg, start to come forward. So try that on. So some of you that practice pigeon, you might notice this is like a pigeon, except you're just adding a little more release on the back leg. So again, depending on the angle of your torso, lots of options here. Let's breathe and let every exhalation be that opportunity again to let go. What can you let go of so you can dive deeper inside? Stay with it. This practice takes patience. So keep letting go of any urge to run away from sensation or feel the need for further entertainment. Can you go in and feel into those subtleties? Become more sensitive. Couple more breaths here. And really, the longer you stay, the better. This is just getting pretty deep for me. I think that if I were here and not moving to a series, I'd probably stay here for another 5 minutes. And you certainly can. I'm just going to move on to give you some variety. Whew. And as you come up, release the back leg. And we're on the other side. And release the hips. Okay. Now we're going to straighten the legs out. I'm just going to extend my blanket situation here. When I'm doing this type of work, I like a lot of softness underneath me. So I'm going to come around on the belly. And just laying on the belly is good opening for the hips. So stretch your legs back and let your feet come about shoulder width apart. So there's some distance there. You're going to rock your pelvis a little right to left. So get situated. And then instead of engaging, we're going to relax. We're going to just let the feet be floppy. We're going to let the belly drop into the ground. So relax your head in a comfortable position. It's called crocodile pose. 3 more breaths. I call it down face shavasana myself. Let's bring the hands out in front though and give a little curve to the lower back. So first the arms are out in front, your elbows in front of your shoulders. You're pressing down gently just to lift at first and kind of lengthen the abdominal wall and then sink. You let yourself sink into your shoulder girdle. Let your head hang if you want. You could take a block or a blanket or a pillow, lay your head on it. And feeling how that curve affects you. And some of you might have more mobility in your spine, so you're going to bring your elbows closer in and lift up. Right? So that's increasing the curve. Once you come up, then you're going to settle. You're going to let your shoulder girdle relax. Let the head hang or support it. So here, when we allow our spine to sink forward, we're actually going deep into the connective tissue between each vertebrae. If you want to imagine that, this is a deep dive into your spinal column. And then when you're ready, on your next breath or two, you'll return to your crocodile. Sink down, maybe wobble a little. And then we'll lift the head, take the hands next to the heart, peel up off the ground. And take a little cat-cow. Maybe you do a little swinging of the tail. Or your typical cat-cow. A lot of energy in the spine. And we're going to come around onto our backs. And from here, I'm going to show you a side lying position, and there's a lot of choices here. There's always so many choices. So that's the beauty of this practice, is listening to your inner guidance. So coming down onto your side body, okay, you might want to, if you don't want to put your shoulder up in this position, you could have a bolster or blanket under your head. You want to have your neck neutral. And then laying on your side, let your top leg come over and bend your bottom knee. So it's similar to that pinwheel position. Okay, so you're going to take your lower knee back, and I kind of drop into the front hip, lower knee back. Now some of you are going to be able to find this foot with your hand. If you can't, you could always take a tie if you want, or you don't even need to connect your hand to your foot. You can just draw the knee back. I like to grab it. It's called cat pulling its tail. Being a cat person, I like that. And draw it down. But if that's too much, just leave the foot down there, and you can just leave your hand draping here and really opening the chest. So adjust so your hip is comfortable, the one you're laying on. This lower arm, it's nice to pull it out. That's why I like a blanket under the head, because you can pull that arm out and start to open your chest more. Now this top leg's negotiable. You could have it down here if that's too much. This is adding a twist. You could put something under this knee. I'm going to show you that. And again, you don't have to have yoga stuff. You can just have your couch cushions like this. Now that takes the pressure out, and it just depends. Remember, you do want that, you want to go into sensation. Might be kind of loud. So there's the first point, right? Much like pinwheel, but you're getting a twist, and then you've got some options, of course. So if this is too much, you can bring the arm more forward. Okay. And then you've got options with this leg to start taking this leg out further and add a little hamstring stretch. And you pull that through. Grab the leg. And then the last is to put a deeper twist into it, which is drawing your lower ribs out from underneath you. Now this is quite a lot. I know there's people that can't do this at all, but you can do it some. You might look at this and be like, no way. So let's just start like this. And you can get a lot of opening in this hip. You can draw that lower knee back and get an opening in the front of the hip. You can find new pockets of sensation. So the idea here is to really go into places that we don't often touch, that don't often get our attention. This is the inner journey. So dive in, find your spot, and then commit to stay here for at least, let's go for 10 deep breaths. So drop in, literally drop all effort. Let gravity be your friend. And ride each breath into your body. Allow each exhalation to be that opportunity to let go, whether it's a physical resistance, or an irritation. Like right now, I can feel a lot of opening. I know there's a lot of tension. I sit too much these days. So I can feel a little irritability coming out of my hip. But I know that that irritability is more of an emotion. My hip doesn't feel at risk. It's just, the issues are in the tissues. That irritability might be because I'm not getting outside enough these days. That changes. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes we're in more, life is a balance over a long period of time. So I can breathe into that and be willing to stay. Can you? Can you just be willing to stay with a little discomfort that might actually lead to the next level of ease? Kind of like any relationship, right? You got to get through those hard spots to get to the deeper connection. You don't want to be superficial. So let's dive deep. A few more breaths. And then remember, when you are ready to come out now, I'm going to come out super, super slow. So are you. Super slow. What are you going to move first? Take your time. And when you've gone deep, especially if you've gone deep and had a lot of release, you want to come out even slower. And make your way onto your back. Okay. And then just do whatever releases you want. So inside my hip was like, oh baby, oh baby. There's a lot going on. Again, we can hold these tensions in our body unconsciously, or maybe, we're just pushing away that tension because we don't want to feel it. So this is a very, what would be the word, revealing practice of what's inside. We're going to do the other side. I'm just going to change direction so that I'm not turning my back to you. So again, laying on your side. Maybe you just lay on your side and hang out there. Because practicing ease and relaxation, that's the key, right? Straighten the leg first, right? Feels good after being hugged up. Bring the other leg forward and we're dropping it down. Unless that's too much, you can prop it up. Okay. The bottom knee bends. And then see if you can lift it up. See if you can get that leg. You might have to lift up and hold it. You could use a tie around it or just let it be. Right? And the idea is you want to pull your lower leg back at the knee behind your hip. So the front of the hip is open. Breathe. Again, you don't have to do the twist. So if I keep my shoulder up here, my spine is more neutral, right? When I draw the lower arm more forward, it can come onto the shoulder blade and start to create more of a twist. Let me grab this lower leg. Pulling my tail. Options on the top leg. Drawing it out, maybe just a little bit. Maybe down a little, so find that just right edge. So when you're playing your edge, first you look for that first point of sensation called your minimum edge. And then you play with going a little deeper and decide today, is that what I want to do today? Because we're going to stay. So it's better to do less because you're staying longer, right? And things will probably just get more intense as you stay because you'll keep letting go, and sink in, letting gravity bring you deeper inside. So sink into the earth, close your eyes, even your breath, be still, breathe, feel. Dissolve any unnecessary tension. As we remain still, we're remaining still but not rigid. And these little nuances of refinement happen. Some breaths will be longer than others. You might even moan a little if there's something that's really releasing. Just sigh it out. Giving your body time to release. So just a few more breaths here, and do keep in mind that, as you feel different emotions, what you could feel, like for me it was irritation, you could feel sadness. I've actually been in this practice and just started laughing for no apparent reason. Just let your emotions flow through you. They're simply emotions. You don't have to identify any particular story or label it for any reason. It's just feelings. Like I said, we're becoming more sensitive to not just our physical body, but the energy that's moving through us and the emotions that rise and fall. Let it flow. No labels, just in and out. Feelings arise, feelings dissipate. Now I'm going to slowly start to come out of this pose. Again, you can always choose to just hang out here the rest of the time. I've got one more pose. It's on two sides, so we're going to take this a little bit longer. Just rock right to left. Ooh. And you're going to want to be flat on the floor this time without anything, unless you have a lot of roundedness. If you have a lot of roundedness in your upper back and your chin comes higher than your forehead, then maybe put a blanket under your head just to bring your neck neutral. And then from here, you're going to straighten your legs out and have them close together to start. Okay. And then this is important how this happens, just to get it right, is bring your head up and have your toes up and your knees facing the sky. And then draw one leg out, but don't let it turn. Just keep it facing up. In fact, turn it in a little bit. It'll stop sooner. Okay. And then you're going to lay down your head. It's easier. You're going to take your other leg and reach up and over and cross your ankles and then press your hip back to the ground. So that's why you can't go too far. You're going to be able to cross your ankles. So you have this angle into the side of your hip. This is called banana asana. So you're going to create the shape of a banana, starting with the legs. You might go deeper, but just hold on. Take the arms overhead. And if the shoulders don't go up this high, you could just draw one arm out to the side a little bit. Okay? But if you can, reach the arms overhead and then draw to the side so you're becoming the banana shape. You might even help your shoulders come over more and really draw. Your elbows can stay bent, or of course you could start to straighten through the arm to bring more into the side body. Put your head wherever your neck is happy. And again, go to that minimum edge to start, because you're going to get heavier as you let go, and as your body's weight sinks, you're going to feel that opening go deeper into the tissues. So today we're just going to settle in. I'm going to give you another moment to get settled. Keep letting that top hip what I call the top hip, the one that wants to lift, let it drop. Both hips heavy on the ground. And now 10 deep breaths. Now on your own, you could set a timer. It's a really nice thing to do is set a timer and stay for 2 to 3 to 5 minutes when you're first starting. And we're just doing 2 to 3 today, just by the time we get set up and stay. Just notice how that feels. You have a few more breaths, so you might want to play that edge just a little bit deeper or not. Begin to take that last breath or two that I call them completion breaths. And then you'll slowly start to melt out the way you got in. So upper body first returns to neutral. Top leg comes back. You can just put the foot on the floor and then slide the other leg up, knees bent, and then give that gentle rock. We'll do the other side. So straighten the legs. Let's bring the head up. Take a peek. Draw your leg to the side as far as it goes, but the knee facing up, toes up. And see if you can get that other leg over. Okay. Squeezing the legs towards each other at first, so you get them close, and then let them relax. So the more you relax, this weight's going to drop. Lower your head down. Did that with my head up, didn't I? Whatever feels good. Then the arm comes up. Grab the wrist, give a good stretch. Move things out of the way. You know, if you have something in the way, move it out of the way. So be very particular about your comfort, because you're the only one that knows how comfortable you are. Let's turn the head, maybe. And now get heavy. Each breath, letting go. Now, if your shoulder, I have a little pull in the shoulder, so I'm going to move it around until it feels comfortable, right? Don't create any unnecessary suffering. Intensity is one thing. Intensity towards a positive outcome is fine. In fact, I'm going to go a little deeper on this leg position. But suffering, that yoga is really, the purpose of yoga is to end suffering. So let us be particular about our choices and drop into a place of pleasure. Even if it's intensity, it's still pleasurable. And you could choose to do this super soft and light too. You don't have to go for the intense factor. You definitely need to go for a sensation. It's not like restorative yoga where we're actually moving away from all effort and stretching. This is, again, placing that just right stress in the tissues that connect. Now again, if you want to just stay here, do stay. I'm going to just take a few more breaths, finishing breaths. So I call them finishing breaths or completion breaths because I want to take inventory before I pop out of the pose. And then I want to come out really slow. So I'm noticing how that feels. What's the feeling of release? Top leg back to center. I like to bend the knee and put the foot on the floor. And then just rocking the knees right to left. Maybe give yourself a hug. You're listening and responding with wisdom to the inner voice. That still small voice inside that's so wise and so patient, doesn't yell at us. You just want to listen more deeply. So your inner journey, now you can drop into a neutral position, Shavasana, or you might want to pad yourself up and stay for a while. I'm just going to leave you here and let you rest as long as you'd like. And then before I go, I'd like you to really make sure that when you're done with this practice, to notice how you feel as you move around. Notice the feelings, sensations in your body, the response to the practice. Most people find an amazingly open sense of being in their body because we've opened it so deeply. So allow yourself to add this yin-style practice into your lifestyle. So another few breaths here, settling into this state of absorption. Marinating in all the sensations that you've awakened. Returning to this inner journey over and over again. Namaste.